what this does to me. Really will almost get teary-eyed looking at this. So.
They say that there was nothing like Miami. They're absolutely right.
I was 9, 10 years old. I was looking around. There were screaming people.
Didn't I tell you that somebody called me about a photograph of you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the photograph, and it's in his book. You have 2 pages.
I think what I wasn't expecting was that this would be such a personal book.
The first thing I see is 1964, and that's been such a prominent date in my mind. There was something about the Beatles, you know, they were from another continent. We heard they were coming to Miami. It was like, we gotta go.
Everybody loved the Beatles. They were a phenomenon. I don't think there was, if there was anything before them, I mean, there were other groups, but there was nothing like the Beatles.
I was 9 years old. My stepfather at the time, he worked for WFUN. My stepfather called and he said, I have some press passes if you want to come and see the Beatles. I knew music and I was so excited. No idea what to expect when I went there.
It started for me because I did a photograph shoot for a car that was at the car show. And the photographer that took the photographs of me asked me if I would like to meet the Beatles, and of course the answer was yes.
In 1964, I was 9 years old. And when I looked at this book, you know, The Eyes of the Storm, it brought back that period in a way that opened my eyes because it made me understand even more just how meaningful the Beatles' appearance in Miami actually was. And then when you look through the book and you see Miami through Paul's eyes, it's a Miami that I remember.
This is the mob. This is what it looked like when we were at the airport. The old building, there was an observation deck.
The plane came in, and then the next thing I know, my stepfather said, come on out. So we went out of the terminal, walked over on the tarmac next to the limousine, and the Beatles came down the stairs and got into the car. I've heard there were 7,000 people. I felt like I was standing there by myself.
This photograph of Paul in the car, in the motorcade, going over the Julia Tuttle Causeway to Miami Beach, was the way anyone entering Miami in those days saw the trip to Miami Beach. Oh, I love this one. I love this cab. The Chevrolet cab with the advertisement in the back for Miami High Line. Miami High Line was right near the airport. I also find it interesting that he would focus on a gun, because coming from England where the bobbies don't really carry guns, the fact that a cop would have a gun was probably quite a remarkable sight to him. And then there's the color, and all of the color in this. I mean, God, Paul had such a great eye and such a way of working with photography.
I was at the Deauville, yes. Yes, and again, I think because my stepfather was in the press, I didn't have to stand out with a lot of people. I got to go inside, and I don't recall all these, I only recall them screaming inside when they came on this stage and just kind of looking around like, whoa, this is amazing. And like I said, my family didn't scream, so it was kind of different for me.
It was this kind of hysteria, and Paul captures it so well. And I think the caption here is, I can almost hear this girl scream. And I think I can as well.
One of the friends of mine and I sat in the second row of the Ed Sullivan Show. After the show, a few security guards came to us and asked us if we wanted to go upstairs and meet the Beatles, which we did. They had this whole area kind of cordoned off, a lot of rooms, a lot of people. Sounds a little hokey, but they brought us lemonade and cookies. And we met all the Beatles. We went outside on the terrace, which overlooked the ocean, and there were girls all over the beach screaming.
I haven't seen this picture, but I heard about them standing on the 11th floor of the hotel at the Deauville looking down and people writing things in the sand to them. And again, I'm sure that they were as equally probably mesmerized by the excitement as as the people that were seeing them, because he takes these pictures, but this must have been incredibly exciting for them.
I wonder where they were playing basketball. Somebody's house. It was probably a house on North Bay Road. Right on the water. You can tell by the foliage. You can tell by the house, the house, everybody. Yeah, it was definitely North Bay Road. It could have been one of the islands, though.
This is my friend, Diane Levine, and he must have taken this photograph of her. Yeah, I think he was smitten, actually. Wow, she's really going to find this interesting.
Paul was like a cherub. I mean, Paul was cute, and I do think probably the moms all liked Paul as much as the girls, you know. So, no, Paul was, you know, he was always special, and now I know that he really was, and he really is.
Well, it's very nostalgic. These were wonderful years at Miami Beach, and the fact that this happened, that I had this experience, was just exciting at the time and wonderful. And now we're talking about it 57 years later. Looking at Miami Beach, somebody sitting on a dock, I mean, those were wonderful days. That's what people did. Yeah, and everybody was so young and beautiful.
It was a happy time. It was joyful. Like I said, coming out of the Cuban Missile Crisis and the Berlin Wall and lots of things, this was exciting and fun and new. And their music was great. They came out with rock and roll and R&B, and they had a new sound. And so people were listening. Great picture of John Lennon here.
I think this book is actually timely, because there's going to be a time not too far from now where people won't remember this. You know, all the people that witnessed it won't be here. So I think it's such a good time.
Boy, they're so vibrant, all of these pictures. He had such a way with light, with color. And then there's this, like, this is the end shot, which is such a peaceful, beautiful sunset that he ends the section on Miami on.